Good evening, freelancers. Welcome to another Anthem video. I'm PTT, and today I want to go over a few changes to the PC version of the game that were recently announced by Ben Irving. Now, as always, I will leave links in the video description if you want to check out the sources for yourself, but without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. We're going to start off talking about aiming and flying then. And on the aiming front, they have fixed a bug that caused the symptoms of negative acceleration. Now, as a PC player, but using a controller, I'm not entirely sure what this means or how it will change the way you aim your javelin when flying, but hopefully it makes life a little bit easier for those of you that do use keyboard and mouse. Moving on to the flying and swimming next then. Up first we have increase available range for mouse sensitivity options. Now again, I have no idea how this change will affect you in game, but from what I understand it allows for mice with their own DPI setting to fit into the game a little better. So yeah, again, hopefully this is a change you PC guys will like. Next then, we have a PC flight box change, and these changes here are that the flight cursor is now constrained by a circle instead of a box, and this is to allow for better turn speeds. Now, this is something I can comment on because although I do use a controller on PC, I did try the keyboard and mouse first, and the reason I didn't like it was because the flying seemed very clunky and unresponsive to what I was asking it to do. So yeah, if this helps with the flying being a little bit more responsive, then it's definitely a good thing. Next then, we have auto centering for PC flight. Now this is pretty self-explanatory, but when the mouse input stops, the crosshair after a small delay will automatically return to center. Again, hopefully this in combination with other changes will make flying with the keyboard and mouse a lot better. Up next then, we have a bug fix for sprint and fly button pressing, and I will just quote this fix for ease of understanding. We've resolved a jittering /FX spam issue bug that players would receive when playing with hold to fly rather than toggle option for flight. Now again, I'm a little unsure on how this will affect anything in game directly, but hopefully it's a good fix and will indeed help with something. Moving on then, we have a fix that again will hopefully make PC flying a lot more responsive, and that is that raw mouse input is now achievable in game because you can change your flight/swim response and precision setting slider to 0, and this will allow for direct mouse input rather than a delayed response. Now out of all the changes here, I definitely think this one is one of the better changes and should make the keyboard and mouse experience a lot smoother overall. Now for the last two changes, I'm just going to directly quote guys because I honestly have no idea what it means, but hopefully with the direct reference you guys will be able to understand what these changes mean. So firstly then, we have a default flight and swim sensitivity setting updates. Basically all default PC flight and swim sensitivity settings are now tuned to 1200 DPI instead of 1800. Default flight and swim sensitivity changed from 50% and 35% retrospectively to both being 40%. This is the same as having both set to 100% with our previous sensitivity tuning, and since swimming was lower sensitivity than flight, it's seen an even bigger boost responsiveness as default setting. And finally guys, we have tuned flight/swim response and precision default settings and curves. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful. But what it means, guys, is that the defaults are now much closer to raw mouse input. They've adjusted the defaults for precision and response, 25% for flight and swim precision down to 15%, and 50% for flight and swim response down to 30%. They've tweaked flight and swim response to ease into the slowing down behaviour closer to centre in less steeper way than it was before. And yeah, that guys pretty much wraps up the changes to flying on PC for the February 22nd launch. Now, it's not just the flying and aiming that has a few changes coming to it, because there are a few UI updates coming as well, and we're actually going to run over those next. So there's going to be the ability to toggle HDR on or off. They've added an additional camera shake slider so that you can obviously adjust the camera shake, and that should stop some of the motion sickness people have been experiencing. Next, there is an option to turn off motion blur. Then there is a fix to forge rotation speed with a mouse. There is a change to the way the D-pad works, and that is that the D-pad will now show as keyboard bindings. And finally, although these next changes won't be ready for launch, it is worth mentioning that the team have confirmed they are working on a field of vision slider an FPS limiter, and basic overall graphic improvements. Now, with all of this information in hand, I do indeed think that the PC experience will be slightly better at launch, but personally I am going to stick to using my controller. It just feels so much better and more responsive, and ultimately I just feel more comfortable playing with it. Now then guys, that is about going to wrap up all the information I wanted to pass on to you guys today. Hopefully you found them helpful, and of course I would love to know any thoughts you have in the comment section down below. As always, I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Have a great day, and until the next one, I'll catch you all soon.